Blood glucose is regulated by a so-called negative feedback mechanism. This means if the blood glucose level is too high, then it has to be lowered. And if the blood glucose level is too low, then it must be increased. So every time when a certain level of blood glucose is counteracted by an opposite measure, we refer to as a negative feedback. And this, of course, does not only relate to blood glucose. So what we do is we start over here with a normal blood glucose level, and we now increase the blood glucose level. I'm going to draw an arrow. And the blood glucose level increases because the person was eating something. And the food is digested, the starch, or rather the maltose, which is formed by digestion, is absorbed into the blood, and so on. Glucose is released, and this increases the blood glucose level. Now, the high blood glucose level must be lowered, and therefore insulin has to be released. So the beta cells of the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas, they release insulin into the blood. Now, insulin is a hormone. It's distributed over the body, and it has an effect on several parts of the body. So let's have a look. Insulin is released, and as a consequence, the liver converts the glucose from the blood into glycogen, and glycogen is also known as animal starch. That's a different way of saying it. It's also known as animal starch, but I think it's better if you use the word glycogen. And it is stored in the liver for the day. So, and the muscles also increase their glucose uptake because they need the glucose as an energy source. And both of these measures lower the blood glucose level again to a normal level. So this basically happens when the blood glucose level is too high. We have to lower it. Now, and what do you do, or what does the body do when the blood glucose level is too low? For example, you have not been eating for a few hours and your blood glucose level drops. In this case, the pancreas is also important, and now the alpha cells of the pancreas release a hormone called glucagon. Now, do not confuse the hormone glucagon with glycogen over here. That's something totally different. This is a hormone, and glycogen is a polysaccharide. And the hormone glucagon, again, is carried over the blood to all over the body, also to the liver. And the liver will now convert some of the glycogen, which it stored, back to glucose and release the glucose into the blood. So this happens at the liver. And we are increasing the glucose level, and then the blood glucose is again increased to a normal level. And because you're always doing the opposite, so if it's too high here, you have to lower it over here. If it is too low over here, we have to increase it over here. Because you're always doing the opposite, you refer to this regulating mechanism as a negative feedback loop, or negative, it's supposed to be an N here, or negative feedback mechanism, or simply negative feedback. And this negative feedback mechanism can be found in many places of the body every time when certain parameters have to be maintained within certain limits. The blood glucose is not allowed to be too high, it's not allowed to be too low. Okay. and now I got a warning. No, I think this is a sign that I have to complete the video.